Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 3rd January 2022. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant from our UPSC point of view. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see which are the topics now we are going to have our discussion. So first topic, it is about NSP, okay, so NSP of Pakistan, but here we are going to discuss this NSP regarding Indian context. So first here you need to know what is this NSP and what is the need of NSP and what are the different types of challenges or threats we are facing, because we are discussing about this national security policy regarding India's context but not Pakistan. So this is very much important from our governance point of view. And next topic is about state schemes can cast a lifeline to this welfare plan. So this article which is mainly talking about Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So here we need to know about some facts regarding this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, and even you need to know about what are the concerns and what are the steps that can be taken, that is way forward, that is given in this article. And next topic is about fair and safe, because we are going to have elections in a number of states. So here what happened in 2021, so due to this election campaigning, that is one important reason for the second wave of this COVID-19. So now we are mainly facing some concerns regarding this new variant, that is Omicron. So in this condition, whenever we want to go for elections, so we need to ensure there is a free and fair elections to be happen, and even we need to also take into concern public health as well. So that is the thing which may be highlighted in this topic. So this will be important from our polity point of view. And next topic is about census first phase, NPR data collection deferred till September. So this article is mainly talking about a census. Okay, so here this census which is mainly postponed, okay, and even this NPR national population registry also been postponed. So here we need to know about some facts. And next topic, it is about EVS, economically weaker section quota. So what happened recently by this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, so this EWS, economically weaker sections of society, they are given some 10% of reservation, and they came up with a cap of 8 lakh rupees as an income. Okay, so here this article which mainly says that, so recent committee recommendations which are given regarding this 8 lakh income. So what happened, to understand this we need to know background. So what happened, how a government came up with this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which came up with this a reservation for this EWS, that is economically weaker sections of society. So this is mainly challenged in Supreme Court regarding, so why there is a cap of 8 lakh rupees as income. Supreme Court mainly asked the reasonable, what is the reasonable grounds why government came with this cap here, like 8 lakh rupees. And on this question which is mainly asked by Supreme Court, here government appointed a 3-member committee regarding this 8 lakh rupees income, and now this committee came up with the report. So here this article mainly talking about highlights of that report, and this article will be important from our polity point of view, which mainly comes in the GS paper 2. And next topic, it is about draft national air sports policy. So we are having different air sports, especially in some tourist sites. We can see this type of tourist or we can say like air sports which are mainly commonly happen, but until now there is no proper policy it is present, and now government came up with this national air sports policy. So this is very important and you have to know some provisions of this policy. And next topic is about Malabar exercise. So this topic is important from our international relations. So these are some topics now we are going to have our discussion. So let us read the first topic. So if you see this title of this first topic, which mainly talks about this national security policy. So title says this national security policy can't change Pakistan's direction. So this article which is mainly talking about some introduction regarding this Pakistan's national security policy, and later on we are going to discuss about India's national security policy. As of now we do not have this national security doctrine of India. So here this we are mainly focusing on what is the need. Okay. So actually this topic, it is important from international relations and even from governance point of view. If you are talking about this Pakistan policy, it will be important from international relations, and if you are talking about this doctrine regarding the context of India, that will be important from our governance point of view. So if you are talking about this national security policy, at its 36th meeting on December 27, 2021, on December 27, 2021, the 36th meeting held, and in this meeting, Pakistan's National Security Committee, which mainly approved country's first ever national security policy. Here, Pakistan came up with this first national security policy. So, this is context. Okay, so this national security policy, which mainly designed to be a comprehensive national security framework, and it mainly covers a 5-year period, that is from 2022 to 26. Okay, so this policy is from 2022 to 2026. And what is the important aim of this policy? It is mainly focusing on to ensure safety, security and dignity of citizens of Pakistan, and it is also focusing on its economic security as well. Okay, so apart from this economy and as well as military matters, so this policy will also related to foreign policy, terrorism, water security and even demographics. So this is some introduction regarding this national security policy of Pakistan. So if we're talking about, first of all, we need to know, as an UPSC aspirant, we need to know about what is the meaning of this national security and what is this national security doctrine. So if we're talking about this national security, it is a concept. Okay, see, this national security, it is a concept. So it is along with the parliament which is present in the country, even the government need to protect the state and its citizens against all kinds of national crises. For example, economic crisis, for example, military crisis, for example, terrorism. So it is the responsibility of parliament and as well as government to protect the states and as well as citizens, especially from the different kinds of national crises. So national security doctrine, which mainly helps the statesman's identity and also prioritize the country's geopolitical interest. Okay, so this national security doctrine, which mainly helps mainly the statements to identify, and even it mainly prioritize the country's geopolitical interest. Okay, so this national security doctrine, which mainly helps the statement identify, and it will be also helpful for prioritizing this country's geopolitical interest. And even this national security doctrine, which encompasses the totality of country's military, country's diplomatic, country's economic and as well as social policies, and this military, diplomatic, economic and even social policies, that will mainly helps to protect and as well as it will promote country's national security interest. Okay, so this is about this national security doctrine. So if you have a question like whether India have this national security doctrine, means answer is no. So India do not have any national security doctrine till now. So if you're talking about why we need this type of national security doctrine, because as you all know that India is sharing boundary with the different countries. Here we have Pakistan, here we have China, and here on map we are also sharing boundary with Afghanistan. Here we have Bangladesh, here we have Nepal, Bhutan, here Myanmar. So these countries we are sharing our boundaries, right? So we are sharing boundaries with different countries, and most of the times we are having porous international borders across this Nepal and across this Myanmar, etc. So we are having porous boundaries. So because of these porous boundaries, so we are having some challenges like that is transportation of arms, and as well as illegal drug trafficking, armed trafficking, even human trafficking. So these are some important threats we are seeing, and even we are also very much well prone for this terror attacks, terror threats as well, and even there are some problems regarding insurgency as well. Okay, so here in this context, when we are having this type of threats, when we are sharing boundary with the many countries, then we need to have this national security doctrine. And next one is we are also having some existence of document, that is adventurism, that will reassure our citizens that appropriate measures are in place to protect us. For example, if you are having this national security doctrine, so that will be helpful especially to build the trust between the government and as well as people, and people will have some reassurance that your government will take some steps especially to protect citizens of the country. And next one is many of India's national security inadequacies that mainly stem from the absence of national security defense vision. So what happened, even though if you are having national security, but there are many inadequacies that are mainly seen, and these inadequacies which mainly dealt with this national security doctrine. And next one is, it will not only become the basis for the strategy formulation, and it will be also helpful in planning and as well as evaluation of standard operating procedure. Okay, so in this way it mainly reassure messages to our public. And next one is, we are also have threat from this nuclear armored neighbors like Pakistan and as well as China. So in this context we need this national security doctrine. And next one is, country should have an overall national security document, and it mainly includes various agencies and as well as arms of armed forces, etc. That will be helpful especially to mandate and to create own respective and joint doctrines as well. Okay, and if you are talking about what are the major threats we are mainly posing in this 21st century. So if you are talking about major security threats for India, first one here is technological challenges and as well as global political shifts. For example, cyber attacks, that there is increasing of cyber attacks, and recent reports also says that there is increasing of cyber threats, and ecological degradation, climate change. So there are some significant impact that is also seen on our national security. And this one is spreading of false news. Okay, whenever there is a spreading of false news is happening, that will lead to especially mob lynching, right? So these are some major threats that we are going to face in this 21st century. So if you're talking about what should be the objectives of this national security policy, so first one is, we need to choose our nation's priorities, and we need to point the major domestic and as well as external threats, and we need to go for preparing a technological driven security establishment, and we need to go for preparing for upcoming pandemics, biological wars and nuclear wars, etc. So these to be the important objectives that need to be keep in mind when you are coming up with this national security policy. So if we are talking about different methods to use, first one is, we need to go for resource mobilization. So whenever we want to go for this national security policy, we need to ensure that the proper resources will be available, and we need to go for identification of our critical infrastructure that may be vulnerable to cyber attacks, and we need to go for development of human resources. These human resources, they need to identify those attacks, and they need to protect and they need to restore these critical systems. And next one is to shape public perceptions through constant and as well as consistent public outreach, and we need to provide a channel for public opinion or any feedback as well. And as well as we need to have a proper comprehensive approach, and that need to encompass domestic and external and even economical ecological challenges. So this is about this topic, and I hope it is very much clear. Now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So it is regarding pregnant and as well as lactating women scheme. So title says that state schemes can cast a lifeline to this welfare plan. So it is mainly talking about, so although central government came up with this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, but in some states they came up with their own schemes, that is state regarding those schemes. So these state regarding schemes regarding this pregnancy and as well as maternal women, okay, pregnancy or lactating women, so they are having or they are acting as a lifeline for the welfare plan of this most vulnerable women. So this is the thing which mainly highlighted, and this article which mainly talked about what are the concerns regarding this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana and as well as what is a way forward. So if you are talking about this topic, that is Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, so why we need this type of schemes, especially to support women who are especially pregnant women and as well as lactating women. So if you are talking about some data regarding this regarding total childbirths, so in the world, India accounts for 5th of total childbirths in the world. And if you are talking about this maternal mortality rate, so this maternal mortality rate, it is 113 out of 1 lakh live births in India. So mainly to decrease this maternal mortality rate and even to give support for this women who are pregnant and as well as lactating women, especially in India. So on January 1st, 2017, government came up with this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So in 2017, the government came up with this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So if we are talking about this scheme, it is a centrally sponsored scheme, and this scheme mainly executed by Ministry of Women and Child Development. So centrally sponsored scheme means there is a funding which mainly shared by center and as well as the states. We are talking about some highlights regarding this scheme. So this scheme which mainly includes direct benefit transfer. Okay, so the cash benefits will be provided for this pregnant woman, and this cash will be delivered directly to their bank accounts. So this will be helpful for enhanced nutritional needs, and even that will be also partially compensate wage loss for this woman who are working in this informal sector especially. And this one is target beneficiaries. So beneficiaries include pregnant women and as well as lactating mothers. Okay, and this scheme is also excluding those who are in regular employment in central government, state governments or any public sector undertakings. They will be not entitled under this scheme. And all eligible pregnant women and lactating mothers who have their pregnancy on or after 1st January 2017 for the first child in the family, they will be eligible under this scheme. Only it is for the first child. And if you are talking about benefits of this scheme, so this scheme will provide direct benefit transfer of rupees 5,000 in 3 installments. Okay, so 5,000 rupees will be given in 3 installments, and it will be also helpful for early registration of pregnancy, and it will be also focusing on antenatal checkups, and it is also focusing on registration of birth of the child and completion of first cycle of vaccination as well. And eligible beneficiaries, they will also receive incentives under this Janani Suraksha Yojana. On an average, woman gets about 6,000 rupees. So these are some important facts that you need to know regarding this scheme. And if you're talking about some concerns which are highlighted here in this scheme include, so first one is, so this scheme which mainly came into picture in 2017. So whenever since inceptions of this scheme here, so under this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, it mainly covered 2.01 crore women nationally, and mainly disbursing about rupees 8,722 crore. But here if you are talking about annual estimates of these targeted beneficiaries, so here this targeted beneficiaries which mainly remained over the years. So since 2017, so the annual estimate of this targeted beneficiaries it not had been changed. Okay, so it is like a constant. So while this estimated eligible population of this pregnant and lactating mothers in India is 128.7 lakh. Okay, so as per 2017-2018, so estimated eligible population here is 128.7 lakh, but the target population here is 51.70 lakh. That means about 40% of eligible population, they are mainly excluded. That means exclusion error is very high. Since 2017, it is about 60%. So this is one cause of concern. And next one is in 2020-21, more than 50% of this registered beneficiaries, they do not receive all 3 installments. Okay, they do not receive installments of money, and there is also 9% of drop in enrollment under this scheme. Okay, and even if you're talking about budget also decreased for this scheme by 20%. So these are some cause of concerns regarding this scheme. So if you're talking about state schemes regarding this pregnant women and lactating women, so while center has implemented this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana in 2017 at national level, and some states like Odisha, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, they mainly choose to implement some state specific schemes, especially regarding this maternal benefits. Okay, for example, Mamata scheme and as well as KCR kit in Telangana state. So in some states we are also having this MRMBS scheme, that is Dr. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy maternity benefit scheme. So which is mainly increasing the craze for this scheme, and there is increasing of coverage and as well as higher maternity benefits that are mainly provided under this scheme. And even if you are talking about Odisha's Mamata scheme, it is mainly offering some conditional cash transfer of rupees 5,000 as maternity benefit. It is given for 2 live births, okay, 2 births. And in comparative analysis, if you are talking about this comparative analysis between this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana and as well as Mamata scheme for 2020-21, so here this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, which is mainly having a poor performance, and we are also seeing there is 52% of drop in the number of beneficiaries which are mainly covered. Okay, and Mamata, for this Mamata scheme, there is increasing, that is 57% of increase in the women who receive installments of money under this scheme. So here what can be the steps taken? So here we need to extend this maternity benefit for the second live child as well, And next one is, it is imperative to include second live birth under maternity benefit cover, particularly for a woman in organized, unorganized sector who are mainly vulnerable to economic shocks and access nutrition loss, etc. here. Okay, so whenever, why we need to give this nutrition benefits even for the second live child, because most of the women, they are working in this unorganized sector and they are much more vulnerable whenever they are not going for this work. So that will also lead to economic shocks, and as well as that will also have some impact on this nutritional loss for this child and as well as mother. So because of this, we need to increase this coverage of this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana even for the second live birth. And next one is, we need to also ensure to increase in this maternity benefit amount. So it is like 5,000 rupees now, but this 5,000 rupees, it is not at all enough, because the important primary objective of this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, it is to provide some partial wage compensation, right? But it is not meeting its demand. And women, they are mainly continue to work during and as well as after post pregnancy, means they cannot afford loss to these wages. So because of this, even though we are also seeing in hospitals there is increasing of out of pocket expenditure as well. Okay, so in the lines of this Maternity Benefit Act of 1961, here this act which mainly mandates 12 weeks of maternity leave for women, okay, with 2 or more children, and even it mainly talking about pregnant and lactating mothers, they should receive 12 weeks of wage compensation, that should be about rupees 15,000. Okay, so this is gist of this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding fair and safe. It is regarding ECI, Election Commission of India. It must ensure fair election process, and also it needs to limit this public health risk as well. So it is talking about elections should be conducted, and in these elections it should have less impact on the public health. So now let us try to see what is the context. So here elections, they are to be held in 5 state assemblies, for example Goa, Manipur, UP, Uttarakhand, Punjab, etc. Okay, and we need to go for conducting of these elections even though or regardless of rising this new wave of coronavirus. So if you are talking about this Election Commission of India, so this is a 3-member Election Commission of India which mainly visited 4 states over past weeks, and they mainly went for these states or visited for these states, especially to know the access the preparedness as well, and as well as they are going to see what are the last steps that need to be taken or announced before this this poll schedule. So if you're talking about some details, it mainly says that you already know that Election Commission of India, which mainly look into this enforcement of COVID-19 appropriate behavior, is also looking into this campaigning and as well as voting after schedule is announced, etc. So once this model code conduct, that is MCC, which mainly came into force, means Election Commission's COVID related restrictions, and even first drawn, they are from this August 2020 ahead of this Bihar elections, that will also play here. Okay, so once model code of conduct which mainly come into force, means now Election Commission of India which also come up with some restrictions as it done in this Bihar elections. Okay, so those mandatory rules includes we need to wear mask compulsorily, and we need to maintain some COVID-19 guidelines, and we need to maintain social distancing, and this social distancing can be done whenever there is a reducing the number of people who are gathered in this road shows, etc. Right, if you see, one more important concern here is there is in the wake of second wave of this pandemic in April 2021. So here ECI, Election Commission of India, which mainly put some more measures regarding long silence period before polling, and as well as it also reduces time of campaigning, so that can be implemented here also. And next one is, once this poll schedule is announced, the burden will be on Election Commission of India to mainly see about whether the fair and free elections are happening or not. And even here Election Commission will also have some important role to take political parties into confidence, and it need to ensure an environment, and this environment should be conducive to the fair election process, and it also had focus on this public health risk as well. So this is gist of this topic, and I hope it is very much clear. Now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding NPR data and as well as census. So if you see title, it mainly says that census first phase NPR data collection deferred till September. That means this census in this first phase and as well as NPR data which mainly postponed till September 2022. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this is important from our governance point of view which mainly comes in the GS paper 2. So if you see context, it mainly says that the first phase of census, okay, the first phase of census and the collection of details to update this national population register have been postponed at least till September. At least till September, the census data, that is a collection of this data which is based on this first phase and as well as to update our national population register, which mainly postponed till September. So here, why? Because Registrar General of India had in December, which mainly informed that states that the freezing boundaries of districts and sub-districts, tahsils, talukas and as well as police stations had been postponed till June 2022. Okay, so whenever there is no proper demarcation, and how can we go for collection of this data census, right? Census of data of census. So we can't go that. So even Registrar General of India, which mainly said that they didn't have the proper demarcation or boundaries between the districts and sub-districts, tahsils, talukas, police stations. So it is mainly postponed till June. So here, because of this, the census collection data is also be postponed here. And if you're talking about what is this NPR, it is nothing but National Population Register. So this is a register which mainly contains details of usual residents. So you need to know what is the meaning of this usual residents here. And these usual residents data which mainly linked with the location. Okay, and we are mainly collecting some data regarding this usual residents. And here what happened, we are mainly incorporating the changes due to birth, death and as well as migration here. So what is this usual resident? Usual residence means nothing bad. It is mainly defined for the purpose of this national population register. Means whenever a person who mainly resided in a local area for past 6 months or more, or a person who intends to reside in that area for next 6 months, they will be comes under this usual residence. So this is gist of this topic and I hope it is very much clear. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding EWS, economically weaker sections quota. So here title says rupees 8 lakh income reasonable cap for this EWS quota, center tells Supreme Court. Here what happened, if you see this infographic, it mainly says that here whatever the committee which mainly established mainly to look after this 8 lakh income cap for this EWS quota. So it came up with a report. It mainly says that yes, the current annual family income limit to 8 lakh or less is less, it is mainly retained. That means it is okay. Okay, and here this EWS may also exclude, irrespective of income, a person whose family has 5 acres of agricultural land and above, they will be mainly excluded. So this is one cause of concern. And next one is residential asset criteria may altogether be removed. So here we are mainly going to remove this residential asset criteria. That is, we are mainly removing the where they are residing, whether they are having his own house, how many stories, etc. That we are mainly excluding. And next one is sudden adoption of a new criteria in the communities. In the committee's report, it would delay and have a cascading effect on admission, exams, etc. here. So whenever we are mainly adopting this new criteria in the committee recommendation report, it also said that whenever we are adopting this new criteria, that will also have some effect on admissions and as well as exams, etc. So this is the thing which are mainly said by this committee recommendations. And now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this will be important from our GS paper 2 under polity point of view. So here, if you see context, it mainly says that government committee report in Supreme Court has said that income is feasible criteria for defining this economically weaker section of society. So whenever we want to define this economically weaker section of the society, so economy, or we can say like income, it is one of the feasible criteria. So if you see here, the cap here is 8 lakh rupees. So this committee says that so family income of 8 lakh rupees, it is a reasonable threshold to determine this economically weaker section of society here. And this will be this can be extended for reservations in administration, in admissions and as well as even in jobs. So if you're talking about some details, it mainly says that a feasible criteria for defining these economically weaker sections of society that can be based on income, that is mainly based on family income, and the threshold limit, that is upper limit here is 8 lakh of family annual income in the current situation, and this it is one of the reasonable for determining these economically weaker sections of society. So this is a thing which mainly said by committee report. And if you're talking about some background, recently what happened, Supreme Court questioned what is the methodology adopted by government in fixing this 8 lakh rupees as an annual income. It is a limit to identify economically weaker sections of society. And whenever we are identifying these economically weaker sections of society, and we are going to provide 100% of quota in these public jobs and as well as education institutions. Okay, so this is some background. So if we are talking about some important facts, so this 10% of economically weaker sections of society quota, which mainly introduced under this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 2019, and mainly introduced by amending some fundamental rights like Article 15 and Article 16 of our Indian Constitution. And by amending that, so this Constitutional Amendment Act which introduced Article 15 subclass 6 and Article 16 subclass 6. Okay, and here this economically weaker sections of society quota, which mainly focusing on economic reservation in jobs, admissions in education, etc. here. Okay, it mainly enacted mainly to promote welfare of poor who are not covered under this 50% of reservation policy of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and as well as socially and economically backward classes. Okay, and here this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which mainly enables both the center and as well as state to provide reservations to these economically weaker sections of society. Right, and if you're talking about some highlights of this report or recommendations of this committee, it mainly says that 8 lakh rupees of income criteria has worked smoothly, and it will be helpful for especially identifying and to provide economically weaker section quota benefits for the deserving candidates. Okay, so even this report says that examinations in UPSC, NEET, and as well as a UG, JEE means they were separately since 2019. An expert committee report which mainly said that so most of the candidates who are selected under this benefit of this EWS reservation, they are having annual income which is less than 5 lakh rupees. So here we can go for this criteria of 8 lakh rupees as a cap. Okay, and this report also said that there is no evidence to show that 8 lakh limit has led to inclusion of underserving students or underserving candidates for this EWS quota. So these are some important highlights, and I hope it is very much clear. Now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding draft national air sports policy, which mainly pushes for this safety standards. So this article is very important from our governance point of view, and this draft policy, it is very important from your mains as well. So if you see context, it mainly says that government released a draft national policy. Government released a draft national policy for air sports in the country, and that will require entities providing these services and their equipment to be registered, as well as they are also liable for the penalties. That means whoever mainly having this type of air sports, okay, air sports under this draft policy, they need to go for registration, and they need to also go for registration for the equipment they are using, and if there is any violation, they are also liable for penalties and punishment. So if you are talking about details, it mainly says that so this policy which mainly proposes two-tier governance structure for air sports in the country. For example, at the national level, we have this Air Sports Federation India, and we are also having some associations in the states, right? And this national for example, Air Sports Federation of India, that is ASFI, will cover some activities like aerobatics and as well as aero modeling, armature build, experimental aircraft, ballooning, drones, gliding, hang gliding, paragliding, microgliding, paramotoring, and as well as skydiving, and as well as vintage. So these are some air sports which are included in this policy. And next one here is, so this ASFI, it is autonomous body which mainly comes under Ministry of Civil Aviation. So this is one important thing that you need to remember. And this policy, it is also focusing to provide governance of various aspects regarding air sports. So some governance regarding this air sports include regulation, certification, competitions, awards, and as well as penalties that are all included in this draft policy. And each air sports associations, they need to lay down standard operating procedures, and even what are the equipment is there, what are the infrastructure, and they need to focus on personnel and training, specify some disciplinary actions they are taken in the case of non-compliance. And even if they are not following or if there is any violation, they can be also lead to penal action as well. Okay, and even all persons and entities who are providing this air sports services, they need to register, okay, in their respective associations. So apart from that, even what are the key equipments they are using, they need to also register this key equipment. Okay, so this draft which mainly proposed that popular air sport attractions in the country such as Bir Billing in Himachal Pradesh, Gangtok in Sikkim, Hadapsar in Maharashtra, Vagamon in Kerala, they are also declared as some control zones as well. And even this policy which is mainly focusing even in schools and as well as colleges, schools and colleges, they will be encouraged to include this air sports in their curriculum as well, such that it will mainly provide some opportunity to participate in this FAI's international competitions as well. So what is the aim regarding this draft policy? It is mainly focusing to promote domestic design, development and manufacturing of air sports. And it is also focusing on waiving of import duty on equipment for a few years. And next one is, it is also having a request regarding this GST Council to consider rationalizing of this GST rates on this sport. Okay, so these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us try to see next topic. Before seeing next topic, I want to make a small announcement. So if you want to clear this UPSC, I will suggest you to join courses which we are offering in Rathord Science Academy, that is prelims test series and as well as mains answer writing course. So in this prelims test series, we are offering 30 tests which include CSAR and as well as GS. And if you're talking about this mains answer writing course, so in this course we are exclusively focusing on your static syllabus GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4. And here new batch will be going to be started from today onwards, that is January 3rd. And if you want to join these courses, you can join this course today, okay, today or tomorrow you can join these courses. And one more thing I want to say here is, so in this mains answer writing course, we are going to give one question daily, and we are going to complete entire syllabus of your GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 within 1 year of time gap. And it also includes even essay writing practice and also case studies on Sundays. And the detailed times table which is given or schedule is given in description box, so please download that and you can look over that. Then you will be getting some idea regarding how this course will be going on. And next one is, we also came up with this foundation course of this UPSC. So entire foundation course will be given, and there will be like more than 700 hours of recorded lectures, and we are focusing on especially concept clarity. So concept clarity is very important, especially to clear this UPSC prelims and as well as mains, and that's the thing we are focusing here. And the next one is regarding individual courses. If you want to take any individual course like economy, history, geography, science and technology, environment and ecology, disaster management, so you can take those courses individually also. Okay, so individually also price is very low, you can see that. And if you have any doubts regarding this courses, please contact me on this number 8074765513. okay, and now let's come back and let us see next topic. It is regarding Malabar. Malabar is the most complex naval exercise. Okay, Malabar is the most complex naval exercise. So here we need to focus on what is this Malabar. So who said this Malabar? It is one of the most complex exercise. So these are some important things that we need to focus here. So if you are talking about context, it mainly says that while the Navy gears up to hold its largest multilateral exercise here, that is Milan, at the end of February. At the end of February, we are going to have this largest multilateral exercise, that is Milan. Okay, there are also some requests from several countries for the various formats of exercises. So in this context, defense officials said that Malabar, it is one of the most complex naval exercise India does with any other country. Okay, so this Malabar exercise is one of the one of the very complex national exercise. So this is the thing which mainly said by defense officials. So if we're talking about countries of different countries, that is China's expansion that is seen in this Indo-Pacific region, and recently in China also delivered Ming class diesel electric submarine to this Myanmar. And next one here is engagements are further amplified by this bilateral logistic agreements between the countries, and even navy to navy agreements and information sharing agreements that had been concluded by the several countries in this region. And some countries they also came up with the navy agreements and as well as bureaucratic process as well. So if you're talking about India also came up with exchange of this maritime information bilaterally with some friendly foreign countries, and that will be helpful to create maritime domain awareness, especially in this Indian Ocean region. So this is some of the details which are given in this article. And apart from that, if you're talking about some facts regarding this Malabar exercise, so this Malabar exercise, it is a multilateral war gaming naval exercise, and this exercise which mainly started in year 1992. And now if you say some facts regarding this Malabar exercise, so here this Malabar exercise which mainly began as a bilateral exercise, that is between navies of India and as well as United States. So between the navies of India and United States, so this bilateral exercise which mainly had begun. So the two more editions of this exercise which were carried out in 1995-1996. After that there was a break that is seen till 2002 here. Okay, from 2002 onwards exercise had been conducted every year, and Japan and Australia they were participating in 2007, and since 2014 India, US and Japan they were participating in this exercise every year, and very recently in 2020 Australia also joined us Malabar exercise on India's request. Okay, so why India's request? Because to contain this China in this Indo-Pacific region. So these are some important facts that you need to remember regarding this Malabar exercise. So these are some important topics that appeared in today's Hindu newspaper. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And please try to join this mains answer writing practice course which is going to be started from today. So this will be exclusively beneficial and you can trust me 100%. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much.